Mark Ellison never expected a simple question to unravel everything he had spent years trying to hold together. "Why won't you date?" his boss asked casually, leaning against the edge of his desk, her tone light, but her eyes searching for something deeper. Mark froze. It wasn't just a question. It was a door, one he had locked a long time ago. And the moment he opened his mouth to answer, he knew nothing would ever be the same again. Before we dive deeper, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that touch the heart, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It helps these stories reach people who truly need them. Mark lived a quiet life in a small suburb of Columbus, Ohio. His mornings began before sunrise, not because he wanted them to, but because responsibility demanded it. At 6 a.m. sharp, he would gently knock on his daughter's bedroom door. "Olivia, sweetheart, time to wake up." A soft groan would follow, then silence, then the shuffle of small feet against hardwood floors. Olivia Ellison was only 7, but she carried a maturity in her eyes that most adults didn't have. Mark noticed it every day, and it broke his heart every time. He packed her lunch, braided her hair, badly, but she never complained, and walked her to the bus stop with a tired smile that never quite reached his eyes. People often admired him. Single dad, hardworking, responsible, but they didn't know the truth. They didn't know why his house had no photos of the past, why every drawer was carefully organized, except one, why he never laughed too loud or loved too deeply. At work, Mark kept things simple. He worked as a project manager at a mid-sized construction firm, where deadlines mattered more than personal lives. He was efficient, quiet, and dependable. And then there was Claire Donovan. Claire was the company's director, sharp, confident, and known for making tough decisions without hesitation. But beneath her polished exterior, there was warmth, the kind that made people feel seen. Especially Mark. She had noticed him early on, not just his work ethic, but the way he always declined invitations. Office parties, dinners, even casual coffee breaks. Always the same polite excuse. "I have to get home to my daughter." At first, Claire admired that. Then she grew curious. And eventually, she started to care. It wasn't planned. Feelings rarely are. One evening, after most employees had left, Claire walked past Mark's office and saw him still working, his sleeves rolled up, eyes fixed on his screen. "You're going to burn yourself out," she said, stepping inside. Mark looked up, slightly startled. "Just finishing something." "You always are." He gave a small smile. "Someone has to be reliable." Claire crossed her arms. "You know, being reliable doesn't mean you stop living." Mark didn't respond. That silence, it said more than words ever could. That's when she asked it. "Why won't you date?" The question lingered in the air like a fragile thread. Mark leaned back in his chair, his gaze drifting away. For a moment, Claire thought he wouldn't answer, but then he sighed, and something shifted. "I used to," he said quietly. Claire's heart tightened. "What happened?" Mark hesitated. His fingers tapped lightly against the desk, as if debating whether to continue. "I had a wife," he finally said. "Her name was Hannah." Claire softened. "Was—" Mark nodded. "She left." The word was simple, but the pain behind it wasn't. "She didn't just leave me," he continued. "She left Olivia. One morning, she packed her things and walked out. No warning, no explanation that made sense." Claire's breath caught. "I'm so sorry." Mark shook his head. "At first, I thought it was temporary, that she'd come back, that maybe I had done something wrong and I could fix it." His voice cracked slightly. But days turned into weeks, and weeks into years. Claire stepped closer, her heart aching for him. Olivia kept asking where her mom was. Mark whispered, and every time, I had to lie. "She's coming back soon. She just needs time." He swallowed hard, but she never did. Silence filled the room, heavy, unforgiving. "I watched my daughter stop asking," Mark continued, "and that's when it hurt the most, because it meant she understood. I promised myself something after that," Mark said, his voice steady now, "that I would never let Olivia feel abandoned again. Not by me, and not by anyone I bring into her life." Claire's chest tightened. "That's why I don't date," he said, finally meeting her eyes, Because I can't risk bringing someone into our world, only for them to leave. The words hit her harder than she expected, because in that moment, she realized something. This wasn't rejection, it was protection. But it still hurt, because she had hoped, maybe, just maybe, she could be different. Days passed after that conversation, but nothing felt the same. Claire kept her distance, masking her emotions behind professionalism. Mark noticed, but didn't know how to fix it. Until one afternoon, Olivia had forgotten her school project at home, and Mark had no choice but to bring her to the office for an hour after picking her up early. Claire saw them from across the hallway. A small girl holding a cardboard solar system model, nervously clutching her father's hand. "Hi," Claire said gently, kneeling down. "You must be Olivia." Olivia nodded shyly. "I'm Claire." Mark looked uneasy. "We won't stay long. It's okay." Claire interrupted softly. She turned back to Olivia. "That's a beautiful project." Olivia's face lit up. "Really?" "Really." Something in that moment shifted. Over the next hour, Claire helped Olivia fix a loose planet on her model. They laughed, talked, and for the first time in a long while, Mark saw his daughter open up to someone new, and nothing broke. Nothing fell apart. That night, as Mark tucked Olivia into bed, she looked up at him. "I like Claire," she said. Mark smiled faintly. "She's nice." Olivia hesitated. She didn't feel like she was going to leave. Mark froze, because that was everything he feared, and everything he hoped for. The next day, Mark found Claire in her office. "I owe you an apology," he said. Claire looked up. "For what?" "For assuming the worst." She tilted her head. "Mark, I've been so afraid of losing people," he continued, "that I stopped giving anyone a chance to stay." Claire's eyes softened. "I'm not asking for anything complicated," he added. "Just a chance." A quiet smile appeared on her lips. "I think," she said, "that's all anyone really wants." And for the first time in years, Mark allowed himself to believe that maybe not every story ends in loss. Some begin again. If this story touched your heart even a little, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Stories like this remind us that healing is possible, and you never know who might need that reminder today. Special request: comment below, second chances matter if you believe love deserves another try. Because sometimes, the bravest thing a person can do is risk their heart again.